The Earth's surface, covered mostly by water, looks like a giant blue marble from outer space. But only 3.5% of Earth's water is fresh water, and only a small percentage of that fresh water is available to meet human needs. Human needs such as agriculture, domestic use, urban water supply for domestic and industrial use in Africa's growing cities, surface water for irrigation, groundwater for irrigation, and generation of hydropower for development and export. In Africa, the world's second driest continent, availability and access to water is more crucial to existence than almost anywhere else on Earth. This makes water policy and water management central to Africa's future. Wise policy will demand an ever-advancing scientific understanding of Africa's water resources and policy options, as well as fully informed policymakers. To help meet that demand, UNEP has produced the Africa Water Atlas, a science-based overview of water in Africa revealed through maps, satellite images, graphics, photographs, and narrative drawn from the best and most recent of available data. Chapter 1 takes stock of Africa's water resources, including infrastructure, physical geography, and socioeconomic setting. Chapter 2 looks at water issues from the perspective of surface water and groundwater basins. Each of Africa's major river basins is presented with maps and narrative describing that basin's unique characteristics, challenges, and opportunities. Striking case studies, such as the Niger Inner Delta in Mali, illustrate the need to manage basins across national boundaries. The delta, where sustained droughts in the 1980s caused loss of livelihoods and dramatic changes in the landscape, depends almost entirely on rainfall in neighboring Guinea to provide water for agriculture, domestic use, and to sustain its ecosystem. Chapter 2 also looks at transboundary groundwater basins such as the Nubian Sandstone Aquifer System in North Africa, shared by Egypt, Libya, Sudan, and Chad. It examines the challenges and opportunities inherent in utilizing these aquifers' vast fossil water resources for uses such as expanded irrigation and settlement at Dakhla Oasis in Egypt's western desert. Chapter 3 identifies specific challenges and opportunities, providing concise, to-the-point analysis of issues facing policymakers in Africa, with charts, photographs, data, and narrative. Issues with real-world impact every day across Africa.
Nowhere else is the importance of water more apparent than in the semi-arid communities, such as in Mauritania, where arable land is slowly being buried by the creeping deserts. Here, life has been reduced to a little more than an endless search for water.
كان هو كاهني كيف كان ما كيف كان الماء في خالق نجر حد حاسي واحد يقدر يشرب منه خيمتين زلازل ورق دماغ مو خالق تجار 10 حسيان ولا كيف جيس وتجبر ما شوي ودرجاج واحد ما يجبرش.
Not only must they search for their own drinking water, but for their animals as well. In Senegal, Michel Bemba's life has been made difficult by frequent droughts.
Bon, li ñu doon jàkkoonte mooy dafa am période boo xam ne dafa fekk muy nekk période l'hivernage.
But Michel is learning to adapt to his new environment with limited water resources. He's at a farming school today where he's learning a new drip irrigation technique which could save his future crops. Water is stored in tanks and then released through pipes directly onto the plant. Agronomists believe that drip irrigation is twice as efficient in the use of water than normal methods of irrigation.
Ci nawet bi bon mënoon nga ne dañuy xaar mu taw mais fii heure bu la neexee mu taw parce que heure boo xam ne ubbi nga machine bi yow sa tool tooy na.
The final chapter profiles each country in Africa with maps, graphics, and photos telling the story of water in each of 53 countries from Algeria to Zambia and reviewing each country's progress toward meeting the MDG Goal 7 indicators for improved drinking water and sanitation facilities. The Africa Water Atlas, a resource and a catalyst for advancing science-based water policy in Africa.